As for my findings, what Blythe Sanders did was a remarkable tale to discover. And as much as I feel that I'm indulging my own sensibilities about this tale, I do want to recount that it was a library research adventure. It was by no means obvious who he was or what he had done from the leads that I had to go on. I would venture that it was a real achievement to locate him, because he wasn't a painter, for one thing. I was looking into fourth dimensional cubism and the intelligence system from Ouspensky's fourth dimensional psychology. I'd gotten some good help at UW Tacoma from a librarian there and confirmed that this was going on. But I knew there had to be somebody in cinema. I came after 4 hours of work at several different libraries with many different librarians assisting me and striking out, but encouraging me and helping for sure. I found a name I didn't recognize as a painter in an index of a Cubist book. Blythe Sanders was an adopted name. It means blaze from the cinders, or phoenix. Another word for Lazarus, back from the dead. They also use Casper, and they use the walrus. And he was somebody who was foreshadowing the idea of taking media and networking it to put on a fabricated reality as news stories, which is what we've done with Double Fantasy. And it was in the works from the time. You have to understand the turn of the century when Grover Cleveland was president of the United States. That was when, Frederick Douglass, everybody knows who Frederick Douglass is. He was a famous black abolitionist who had been a slave, and he was a friend of Abraham Lincoln. He's a very important figure in America's campaign to secure the First Amendment for the world. It's one of the things America stands for, is the First Amendment. Frederick Douglass was instrumental in securing the First Amendment for the world. Well, he died in 1895. In 1896, Grover Cleveland dedicated the Statue of Liberty, which was actually given to commemorate emancipation. Cleveland and his cronies sort of changed that to be a gift from France. But the point is that we were largely an agrarian society. Cleveland was a sheriff and had been an anti-corruption figure in Tammany Hall, a seat of New York City power. And then he went into the Oval Office and became something of an international figure. He started the rise of America to international power and prominence. But we were fast on our way to World War I, which was the era of Gandhi. And Gandhi was dovetailing with this fourth dimensional psychology and many discoveries in the arts and the Cubist movement. Well, the Empire Struck Back, by which I mean Access Hollywood. D.W. Griffith met with D'Annunzio's acolyte, Freddie Luigi, who introduced him to Mussolini. Disney was making cartoons about Adolf Hitler, favorable ones, and meeting with Sergei Eisenstein. So you start getting this sort of 50-50 power sharing. About this time, Grand Central Station was actually built. And Diaghilev, the ballet Russ from Monaco, was the Grand Central Station of society at that time. where all these people were interacting and meeting, and this idea fell on their desks at the same time. Houdini, who lived in Laurel Canyon with Errol Flynn, was part of the inspiration for this, and then it disappeared into the room behind the revolving bookshelf. They adopted the idea of a phoenix, a blaze from the cinders, of an invisible arm, of Hollywood oligarchy, the hand of God. And they knew that fossil fuel was going to create an inferno. And they saw it as a forcing house. So when you go back to the time of the Statue of Liberty, the 1890s, you find Henry Bergson, who at the time of the Luminary Brothers was talking about film as early film as a metaphor for biology. So the idea of a pornographic genocide was worked out as holy war for Casper the Friendly Hitler. And this is what Lenin was pulling with his intellectual Nazi of a wife. And he actually pulled this lampoon on American self-importance so successfully that he got Seattle progressives to threaten their own children with a Zuke. I mean, it's the most berserk betrayal of each other, falling over each other, clawing at little purses that they emoja are their own. I mean, it's the most ridiculous travesty that anybody could think up. And yet, that's the only explanation that works. When they had me on Mount Desert Island, I didn't know about the script. I was just pursuing one of them, who they were saying was an honorary Jewish Defense League icon. He was sending me things praising Joseph Goebbels. And he's honorary the black men and the German Green Party and all this other stuff. And he was talking about a scheme to transform the human race by injecting the blood from a time predating AIDS, when one of his classmates gave me a book about Buckminster Fuller. So it's a Save the World program. I was looking into it, right? And they were like, well, girls will be girls and boys will be girls and peeping Toms will be peeping Toms. And they have this like zeitgeist for peep as a Holocaust symbol. The peeping on the betrayed fetus. And yet they were funding this drama club. They were the ones writing the persona is subjected to successive degradations of the exnoted and then subsumed into a larger structure dominated by stars. What was that? Stars. What was that again? I said stars.